Today on DungeonCraft, how to paint blood effects and corpses. Stick around. If your games are like mine, they feature a lot of carnage, and that means a lot of corpses. But how do you paint a corpse? So today I'm going to go over how to do that and how to do blood effects. These really cool bases are made by a company called Secret Weapon Miniatures. They're called corpse fields. I've primed them with black spray paint and you can see the dead bodies, and I'm going to embellish them even more by adding some extra limbs that I got from some frames from some Games Workshop mercenaries that I didn't use. I also have some spare pewter heads on a frame. I painted them a tan flesh color, and I glue them in place with Gorilla Glue. This base already has a severed leg, but I add an extra arm because I don't think there's such a thing as overkill. I paint around all the body parts with a Reaper color called Basic Dirt, but any medium brown will do. I work slowly and carefully, keeping the brown only on the ground and avoiding the body parts. All the flesh is Reaper color called Tan Shadow. I use the colored polished bone on the shirts, the skulls, entrails, and protruding fragments of bone. I use a color called Terrain Khaki to do highlighting on the dirt. I use an inexpensive No. 2 filbert brush, wiping the excess off on a paper towel and then gently dragging across the raised surfaces. This will make all the details, such as the hair and the roots and entrails, stand out. I'll also hit those entrails one last time with white paint. I paint everything except the entrails, that means the flesh and the cloth, with Reaper Brown Wash. I also outline the entire body to make it look like the mud is darker there, providing some shadow. This will make the details stand out even more on the subsequent steps. I'm going to go back to the tan shadow, mix it with some rosy skin. I don't even water it down. I wipe the excess off on a paper towel, and with this dry brush, I dry brush all the skin. This is what it looks like close up. Just lightly hitting all the raised surfaces. After I've done all the pieces, I use straight up rosy skin and dry brush them again, gradually lightening the color. Finally, I take 2 drops of fair skin, add 1 drop of high pigment maiden flesh, mix it up, clean the brush on the paper towel, and hit the raised surfaces one last time. Here are the completed bases. I went back and I picked out some of the details like the studs on the armband and the skulls and the hair and so forth. For the eye sockets I use black wash. I find it flows into the sockets really well. And it's dark, but it's not too dark so it looks like a mask. I go back and paint the pupils white with a 0 or a 00 brush. I paint the pupils black. It's not a wash, it's the actual black paint, although I add a lot of water so it's thin. I try to put the pupil at the top of the eye so it looks like the eyes are rolling up in their head, and I use a 00 brush or a 000 brush to accomplish this. For my initial base coat of blood, I use a color called Blood Red, and I'll paint the puddles and as well as some of in the cavity. I'll try to leave some of the entrails white. You'll see why later. Make sure you get wherever the flesh is severed. If a little paint splashes on the flesh, that's fine, it'll still look cool. For the blood effects, I'm going to use this Tamiya X27 acrylic paint. It's a clear red. And I'm going to be mixing it with Citadel Agrax Earthshade, although any brown wash will do. So I'll take a couple of brushfuls of red, make sure it's an old brush, it's going to get sticky, and I'm going to add a generous amount of Agrax Earthshade. Then I add Vallejo water texture and mix it all together. Mix it thoroughly. Then, to test, put a little bit on your finger. If it looks like real blood, you're good to go. I apply a liberal amount to each base. Notice here how I go right over the intestines. This is why I left them white. The blood will find its way and pool into the darker recesses, but leave the top layers, where the guts are hanging out, looking pale. Again, jam it into those chest cavities. I went back to the blood red to add some highlights. If you look in the center of the puddles, I put the lighter red there to make it look like it's fresher blood. I added some splatter to this face here by using a very small brush. I think it was a 00. If your blood doesn't look wet enough, that's because you didn't add enough water texture, and it's an easy problem to fix. Just take your brush, put it in the pure water texture without any other reds, and paint right over it. It'll dry looking wet. Be sure to spend a little extra time cleaning your brushes with warm water and brush soap. This blood concoction can get really sticky and can ruin your brushes if you don't clean them properly. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you have questions or comments, put them below. For more great DungeonCraft videos, subscribe, and please share this video with your friends. This is Professor Dungeon Master for DungeonCraft. Thanks for watching. I'll see you at the table, and may all your future rolls be 20s.